What is up, guys? We are live. It is Sunday night, and it is Sunday Night Live, and we have got a countdown list for you guys tonight. Should have gone live with this on Friday. Probably should have gone live with this about 2 weeks previous. I've cancelled a few times. So I'm always cancelling streams. I put a stream out. Seems like a good idea, and then when it gets to the night, I get tired, and I'm thinking, "Oh, fuck it, I can't be bothered." That's nothing against you guys. It's just that streaming at like 11:15, 11:30, midnight 30, 1 a.m. It's not always an ideal time to stream, but it's the best time to stream for me personally, usually because it's quiet and obviously it's kind of fitting with a lot of people's work schedule, especially to try and cash in on that East Coast sort of like time zone as well, and because they get you guys in the East Coast as well. I know your clocks went forward, I think, this week, so you're only 4 hours behind us for one week, and then we jump forward again, so it's back to that shitty 5 hour time difference. I wish it was 4 hours all the time. I really do, but it is what it is. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, from next week it will be back to 5 hours. So if anybody in the UK jumping on people's streams in the Eastern Standard, it's always a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. Yeah, Sean's in the same time zone as me. Yeah, good old GMT. Yeah, so it is nearly midnight in the UK, nearly 8 p.m. I believe on the East Coast. Don't ask me what it is like in California or anywhere like that. I have no idea. It's probably like 5 p.m. But I don't think I've got any subscribers in California, so fuck them. Yeah, so this is a countdown of the top 50 slasher movies of all time according to Paste Magazine.com. It's a website. It's not a magazine. It's a website. It's not a physical magazine. But I thought this would be quite an interesting one because this is a website which I did a countdown with JT about a month or two ago. What's up, Jamie? We counted down their top 100 horror movies, period, of all time. And they took the interesting decision to put Halloween 78, the OG. It was something like number 37, which I just thought was just absolutely ridiculous. And I think Christian and Nick from Lost River Driving, I think they did a reaction to that same list, and I think they were just gobsmacked when they saw that placing for Halloween. It's an interesting take because I can't remember exactly how the list played out, but if they placed Halloween 78 at number 37, I'm guessing that was the highest ranking slasher movie in that list because let's face it, it is the greatest slasher movie of all time, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure they would probably regard it that as the greatest slasher movie of all time as well. So I'm trying to remember, but like if they do place, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies ahead of Halloween, I probably would have to go and revisit the 100 greatest horror movies of all time and just see if any of them films placed higher than Halloween, because there'd be a little bit of an inconsistency there. But of course, if it's a different person ranking the list fair enough. But yeah, like I say, that was a controversial list. That top 100 horror movies of all time. So this could be equally controversial, but it is slasher movies. So you are more limited than what you can pick from. So I expect to see the typical entrance. I just hope they don't go the route of like, well, we've picked one Halloween movie, so we're not going to pick another Halloween movie, or we've picked Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, so that's all we're going to pick. It's like at the end of the day, if it's one of the best slasher movies of all time, it deserves to be in the list. If that means including 4 films from one, IP or 5 from one IP, so be it. That you've got to be honest. So yeah, hopefully, because I expect to see multiple entrants from Friday the 13th. If I don't, I'm going to be pretty pissed off because I expect to see the original. I expect to see 4. I expect to see 6. I expect to see 3, 2. The only ones I realistically wouldn't care if they're not in the top 50 is 7, 5, and anything 8 onwards. So yeah, but so we'll get into that in due time. I just wanted to bring up something before we go with the list. Actually, Cody Leach, who's obviously like a pretty big horror YouTuber. He's got like, I don't know, he's got like fucking like 100,000 subs now. He's hit the big time. It's a full-time job for the guy. But he put a tweet out. Must have been a week or two ago, maybe about a week ago, and he seemed genuinely concerned that like Freddy Krueger was kind of dropping down the rankings in terms of like horror icons in the current day. What's up, Big T? What's up, man? I can't remember how the tweet went. I'd have to. What's up, Dan? Yeah, he put a tweet out about a week ago, and he basically showing some concern for like how Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy in general was kind of like falling from grace, and he basically sort of like was saying that Freddy was kind of obviously clearly referencing the fact that Michael, Jason are now bigger stars than Freddy, and obviously we've got the new Scream movie, Ghostface. He's probably addressing the whole Ghostface situation as well. Is Ghostface like now a bigger icon than Freddy? Sorry. We've got Anthony in the chat. What's up, Anthony? Sean, what's up, man? I've at least said hello to Sean. Sorry. But yeah, so Cody's basically, because Cody's like, he's a nightmare guy. That's his thing. In the way that like Jason's mine, or Michael to a slightly lesser extent, but they're my big 2. Freddy, I couldn't give a flying fuck about. I don't care about Freddy. He can just rot in hell. I don't care. But obviously that's Freddy's like Cody's sort of like big, like passion. But he was kind of insinuating that Freddy's kind of dropping down the pecking order in terms of slasher icons. But it seemed, it kind of felt like he was in denial that Freddy is like way down now. It's like in his head, I think he feels that Freddy is still like number 3, maybe behind like Jason and Michael, or Michael and Jason, and maybe Ghostface is like with the Scream 6 release, that's kind of got him thinking, is Ghostface now like ahead of Freddy? Yeah, Ghostface is. There's been 3 Scream movies since the last Nightmare movie. Yeah, Ghostface is definitely like ahead of Freddy now in the public consciousness. Michael clearly far streets ahead of Freddy. Jason has always been ahead of Freddy as of post 2010, because just the video game. I mean, I know the Freddy movie came out a year later than the last Jason movie, but Jason has been in the public consciousness more in terms of pop culture in the last 10 years with the video game, and obviously movies, like YouTube, stuff like Never Hike Alone. Freddy's just done. I mean, I think Cody needs to accept that Freddy's a busted flush, as they say. I don't think Freddie's coming back anytime soon. And I know it's hard if that's your IP, if that's your thing, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, what's the common ground with these IPs that are still doing it? Halloween, Friday, Scream, Child's Play. It's just people. It's either a doll or it's a man behind the mask. It's interchangeable. Freddy's not interchangeable. Freddy is Robert Englund. You can put a different face on him, but people are always going to compare him to the original, and that's it's what makes it great. But it's also its flaw, because it's very difficult to get something new off the ground and get a new fan base on board. So, yeah, I mean, Cody. I think Cody needs to accept, the realization that Freddy is pretty much irrelevant at this point. He's way down there. He's probably, for me, in 2023, in terms of like slasher icons at this minute. I don't mean of all time, but in 2023, current standings, for me, it'd be Michael, Ghostface. Then I think you'd probably say it's a toss up between Jason and Chucky. I think it's a toss up between Jason, Chucky, and Leatherface after that. And I think Freddy's a distant 6, would it be? I think 6, 5th or 6. Yeah, it's just, yeah, he's just, man, he's way down there. Dan says the other franchises just have more recent movies. When the new Elm Street comes out, it will likely be neck and neck with those. But is something new planned though? Like, I don't know, Dan. I mean, you may know more than me. I've not really been keeping track on the current news, but are they planning something, or is it just all hearsay? I mean, because they really need to pull the finger out and get something done, get something in the works, like pretty damn sharpish. Because the longer it goes on, the more Freddy's just going to become like a relic. But yeah, I look. I'm not the biggest fan of the Elm Street franchise, but I'd still, I want, the genre to flourish. So, I want more Nightmare on Elm Street, the same as I want more Hellraiser. I want more everything. Sean says, "Why are we getting a new Elm Street? They tried before, it didn't work. Just leave it alone." Yeah, money talks, though. That's the thing, isn't it? It's I mean, the people behind the scenes with Elm Street, they must look at recent franchises doing okay for themselves in terms of making money, and they must be just racking their brains thinking, how can we get this IP back on track? Because there's definitely a formula there for a hit movie, but you need to have the right actor on board. You need the right director. You need the right producers. It's a combination of things, but most importantly, you've got to have the right actor in the role of Freddy. That is just absolutely crucial, which is something that the Friday people and the Halloween people, they don't really need to worry about that so much. Anthony says Freddy's a difficult one because most people always want Robert Englund, but he is cracking on now. Maybe no. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with the first part, Anthony, but the second part, no, he's too old now. He's nearly 80. It would be ridiculous. It just wouldn't work. You could bring him in, but anything physical, you'd be relying on somebody else, and then it's a little bit like what we did with Halloween. They brought Nick Castle back, but that was more just honouring his memory, because most of the work was done by his name escapes me. Was it James Jude Courtney, or was that the guy who played Jason? I forget. Anyway, the guy who replaced Nick Castle in Halloween, he did all the physical stuff. Was it James Jude Courtney? Or was that Jason? Someone help me out in the chat. If that wasn't James Dew Courtney, if it is James Dew Courtney who played Michael, then who played Jason in Friday 2009? Because for some reason I'm thinking James Dew Courtney. Yeah, England's in poor health. He didn't look at the last Scarefest. Yeah, I mean the guy is he's old. He's really old. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to the topic of tonight. Anyway, so Paste Magazine's top 50 slasher movies of all time. Like I said in the intro, controversial with their top 100 horror movies of all time. So this could be a bit of a wild ride. Honest to God, if Halloween isn't number one, I'm gonna be like, oh, come on. It would probably be Psycho in all likelihood, but for me it should be Halloween. But so let's just get into it, and I always forget what I'm doing now. So share screen. Okay, so let me just make sure everybody sees that. I'll just go on my phone. Can everybody see that? Yeah, okay, so that's live now. Okay, I'm just get my phone out so I can see some of the chat going on. Yeah, Derek Mears played Jason. Yes, it was James Dew Courtney who played Michael. Okay, so they've very handily put this defining slasher movie intro for us. So we know what a slasher movie is, just in case we didn't know. So, okay, slasher villains are human. Well, I wouldn't say, yeah, mate. The likes of Ridley Scott's Alien make for an interesting inclusion, but the unknowable alien intelligence of the xenomorph removes that intimacy. Yeah, I wouldn't. Slasher films have a body count. Slasher films are never one and done. They need at least a modest group of potential victims, and they often need to rack up a few early kills to establish both their modus operandi and threatening credibility. A slasher villain may primarily stalk a single protagonist through the course of a film, but he cuts a path through others in order to get there. Before it's the kills themselves that the audience is there to see. That's fair enough. Home invasion movies are not automatically slasher movies. They do mention The Strangers and Hush, which I would regard as slasher movies. But they're basically free the rules. So we're getting straight into the list now. So number 50, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Okay, so it's got an iconic scene, obviously Garbage Day. Now, it's loved by a lot of people. Now, I love it for its cheesiness and its overall like just awfulness, because this is not a good film. And I know people love the film, but it's not a good movie. It's a good bad movie. I do love Eric Freeman in in the role, but in terms of this franchise, the original movie is a better movie. Just there's no, I mean, I don't think there's any debate in that. If the original movie isn't higher up this list, I would be surprised. I would be a little bit pissed off, because this is dumb fun, but it's a good bad movie. I think Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 is a decent actual movie. So yeah, I've got this, but bear in mind this is the top 50 slasher movie. So there's only been so many slasher movies which have sort of reached the mainstream in general. So there's going to be a few, choices which aren't going to be great movies. And we might even get Final Exam in there, which is like the most boring slasher movie of all time, but I still actually like it. So number 49, we got Pieces. Obviously, Pieces. Obviously, notoriously badly dubbed, badly acted, with the most ridiculous dialogue of all time. But very, very fun. Very, very fun. Again, this is not so much like a good bad movie. I think this is more of a fun, good bad movie, if that makes sense. It's not, obviously it's a crazy movie. It's not the it's badly acted, but it's decent. I like the direction. Um, it's the kills are fantastic. It doesn't make a lick of sense, with some of the kills and how they play out, but it definitely deserves to be in the top 50 because I mean, it's pieces. I mean, come on, it's just fucking nuts. The film is crazy. Um, I know Piz is a big fan of this film. His review of this is just so funny. I've watched that a few times. Um, Number 40, I Know What You Did Last Summer, 97. Obviously, this is very much a mainstream Hollywood movie. This kind of Scream, without Scream, that may not have been this film. Um, a lot of people say it's like it does. Obviously it's a very very you know famous slasher film in general because of just the era of they came out. 97 was like that peak sort of. People talk about like the second summer of love or you know the punk revolution in 77 or 76. 96 was kind of like the horror revolution, like the next revolution of like horror. We got it in like the late 70s, and it came back in a big way in 96, and like 97 kind of followed that with movies like this. Again, a movie that may not have existed without Scream, but I mean, it's not a patch on Scream. In all fairness, I don't mind the film. I like this. I love the setting. I just love that sort of like rural, not rural, but like that coastal setting. If it's got a feel of like the Birds or you know, what's that fucking movie from the early 80s? Dead and Buried, is it? It's got that sort of like yeah, that coastal rural feel. I said rural again. It's not really rural, but um, this is just like a snapshot of like that time. Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Philippe is it. It's just like, and oh my god, her name escapes me. The brunette. I don't know why her name escapes me, but you've got all these like sort of like actors on the cusp of becoming like big stars, and that's what it was like at that time. It very much felt like something big was happening in horror, and you had a lot of these like young actors who were about to transition to something more. Look at Jared Leto in um, Urban Legend, Um, but anyway, 48. I mean, I thought that would have been slightly higher, but 47 Hell Night. Um, Obviously, Linda Blair. I think she may have. This was like a comeback movie. I think did she disappear for a few years after Exorcist because obviously she was like a young kid, and then obviously she was growing up, and being a kid, and then she came back. And yeah, I mean, she came back, and yeah, she's definitely grown. certainly, she's certainly definitely grown up a lot. Um, I was never a big fan. I mean, I like how I did do it like a live commentary for this a couple of years ago, and I like it to a point, but it is fairly slow paced, which a lot of these early 80s movies, the pacing I always find is slightly off. Maybe because I've got used to like that newer way of, you know, a lot of these 80s movies I came to as an adult because I watched the old school 80s and late 70s horror movies as a kid. But some of the less well known movies, which weren't really available when I was a kid, I came back to as a late teen, maybe early 20s, and so the pacing for some of the films kind of felt a little bit different to what I was used to what I was watching at the time in the late 90s, or like mid 90s. So, but it's definitely I mean the killer's creepy, the killers, but yeah, it's another film. Yeah, it's a bit like the oh my god, what's that movie? Which is probably on this list. Um, I think Hellfest is heavily influenced by it. Oh my god, the name escapes me, but oh my god, it's the one set at the amusement arcade of it, like with the inbred sort of like killer. Anyway, that movie again, another movie with like slowly paced, which kind of killed it for me a little bit. Number 46, Happy Death Day. Love this film. Love Happy Death Day. Like the complete opposite of what was describing. This is fast. This is probably why when you revisit some of these early 80s movies, the pacing sometimes is an issue because when you get movies like Happy Death Day, which is just like, it's just in your face, it's fast paced, it's that quick dialogue, which isn't to everyone's taste. But I think with this film, it really works. I'm not always a fan of like modern horror with modern horror characters, so to speak. But Tree, is it Tree, the main character? Um, she's just such a likable like female lead, and like the male lead as well. Who's like the love interest. He's like a likable guy. There's not really any like dickish characters. Okay, there's a couple, but they serve a purpose. They're not being dicks for the purpose of being dicks. They do serve a purpose. But likable characters. Love the whole Groundhog Day scenario. Just a really really fun movie. Um, oh my god, I'm skipping way ahead. So number 46, we have got no. So number 40. Sorry. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Number 45, Fear Street Children, yeah, complete dog shit. Number 1 was okay until they killed off Maya Hawke, who was the best thing in the film, and she died within the first 10 minutes. So Fear Street 94 was pretty shit. 78 was set on a summer camp in the 70s and somehow managed to be shit, which I don't know how that's even possible. And Fear Street 1500s, whatever the fuck it was just awful. Awful. Just hated that whole trilogy. Absolute waste of time. I know a lot of people like it. For me, I hated Fear Street. Number 44, Halloween 4. What the fuck, man? Halloween 4, number 44? No, come on. I mean, this has got to be top 20, surely. So that means they're basically placing. So that rules. We're not going to get Halloween 5 in this list. And we're certainly not going to get Halloween. Well, what will we get? We'll get 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. And, well, I don't think we'll get 6 now. They're going to put 6 ahead of 4, surely. Yeah, big mistake. Should be higher. It's Halloween 4. What do I need to say? One of the greatest slasher movies of the 80s. Well, greatest slasher movies in general. Yeah, I don't agree with that. 43 got Maniac. Obviously, this is proper grimy, early 80s. This is very much real world slasher. This is not fantasy. This is not a guy in a mask. In terms, this is just real grimy, gritty. Feels like what a real serial killer would do. The gore is just off the chart. So authentic as well. This is not Scream. People getting stabbed like 75 times and just walking away. This is real. So yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know whether they put the remake in here as well. Probably not. But the remake, one of the best remakes to a original horror movie, I think, of the last 20 years, especially the 2010s, because in the 2000s we were getting a lot of good remakes with Dawn of the Dead and Hills of Eyes, but certainly the remake for Maniac was just definitely up there. 42 Intruder. Oh yeah, of course, the supermarket slasher movie with Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell's in this movie, right? From what I remember. I yeah, Bruce Campbell is in this movie. It's been a lot. I mean, I saw this a long, long time ago. I saw this 95, 96. But it's the grimiest, nastiest like supermarket you've ever seen. This is not like some sort of like Walmart style, all shiny. Everything's it's proper grimy and gritty, and it looks like the place needs like a good deep clean. I wouldn't be buying I wouldn't be buying anything from this supermarket. It just looks so nasty, but um, definitely deserves to be on the list. 41 Prom Night. Yeah, I do like Prom Night. It's not the to be in all fairness, there's a bit of nostalgia with this movie because obviously it's got Jamie Lee Curtis, which is an immediate plus, but there is some unnecessary padding to this film. You know, you got like a dance off halfway through the movie for some reason, and the kills are pretty weak. I mean, they're really weak. But you know, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis. It's got Leslie Nielsen, I think. So you know, I can't really complain too much. But it's definitely. I think it's a movie that kind of reaches number 41 based on the fact that it's got Jamie Lee Curtis in the lead role. I think if it wasn't for Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't think this movie would be making that. Okay, so let's jump back in the comments section. See what people have been saying. Windmill 2. Yeah, Derek Mears played Jason. What's up, Lorne? Got Lorne in the chat. What's up, man? Anthony says, not a fan. The first 40 minutes of this film, I found that odd. Yeah, because I've jumped ahead. I can't remember what film he's referring to there, Anthony. But Lorne says, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is barely a movie. It's more like one of those late in the season sitcom episodes made up mostly of clips from the earlier shows with the lead talking to the supporting characters. Who the F is Eric Freeman? Have I given... Did I... Is it not Eric Freeman? Did I give the wrong name? It is Eric Freeman, isn't it? Let's go. Eric Freeman. Yeah. Oh, shit. I've just jumped ahead of the... What's up, Ben? This list is going to be all American movies except for High Tension, right? Well, it is an American website, so yeah, expect a lot of American. I don't think there's going to be much variation. High Tension. You say High Tension. I say Switchblade Romance, Lorne, because that's what it was called in the UK. I've got the DVD to prove it. I much prefer Switchblade Romance as a title for me. I prefer that. Dan said, I do enjoy Hell Night. Lorne says, love Hell Night, deserves to be far, far higher. Well, Lorne, we did a live stream, didn't we? A live commentary. Hell of a well-shot film. No fat to be trimmed. Great sense of dark humour throughout. Pazuzu with most rose hair there. If I made list, Hell Night would definitely be there. Happy Death Day was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't looking forward to it when it came out. I do hope they do. Well, I don't know if I hope they do a third film because there was talk. But I know the first two, I love the second one as well. I think it just leave it at that because I think a third movie would just like. Plus, I think the female lead is like about 33 now. So, are they going to still have it in college, reliving the same day? I don't see how that would work. The sequel's let down for me. They were doing a streaming series, Happy Death Day. Okay. The less Halloweens on this list, the better. I wouldn't put any Halloween After 2 on the list at all. Maniac should be way higher on that list. Yeah, I mean, that is surprisingly low, I will say. Lorne says it's not really a slasher in any dramatic sense. Yeah, it's hard with Maniac because it's kind of... Is it a slasher movie or is it a serial killer movie? Like, if Maniac is a slasher movie, then is Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer a slasher movie as well? I mean, it's hard to sort of like really decide. I mean, it's difficult. It's insane to put Prom Night. Yeah, that was a bit of a silly one. Prom Night isn't even the best in the franchise. Prom Night 2 is actually a better. Prom Night 2 is a better movie than Prom Night. I will say that. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Portrait it's been top 5 too, and it's not a slasher film either. Yeah, you've read my mind there, Lorne. Or I read your mind because you put that comment before I spoke. So I'm trying to catch up with the last of the chat before we carry on. I got into you got into exactly probably 2 years ago. Terror Train. Will Terror Train be on this list? Or will Terror Train remake be on the list? Or Terror Train 2 remake be on the list? Holy shit, that film. Caroline Munro was Caroline Munro was the hottest woman in that film by a mile. And she was probably like 15 years older than the rest of the cast. Caroline Munro was gorgeous in that film. Slaughter High is an abomination of a movie. I'm just going to say it's horrendously bad. It may have some love out there, but no, it's awful. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's just carry on. We go to number 40. And it is Terror Train. So Terror Train is ahead of Prom Night. It's ahead of Maniac. Let me just make sure I am. So you can see. Hang on. So can people? Yeah. So people can see me scrolling down. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Terror Train. Yeah. No. I've got a soft spot for Terror Train. I really do. And I've got no issue with it being number 40. I've just got an issue with it being ahead of Maniac and Happy Death Day and a couple of other movies which were 50 to 41. It is quite dull. I'm not going to lie. It is. Again, it's what is it with it's Prom Night. There was like an impromptu 10-minute dance off, and in this movie there's like an impromptu 10-minute like magic act, and you're like, what's going on? Why? Is this what they? Is this just? We need to pad out the runtime to like 90 minutes, so we need to just fit this in. Or was it like a vehicle for David Copperfield at the time? Was he kind of like an up and coming star, and they were just trying to like placate him? Is that the right word? Was he like a bigger star than like what they were expecting, and so it was more about him than Jamie Lee Curtis? I don't really know. I've never really looked into the backstory of this film. I just find it very odd that they spent so much time indulging David Copperfield. It's just strange. So, if anybody knows why David Copperfield was allowed to just do a magic act in the middle of a slasher film, let me know. 39 got the Slumber Party Massacre. Love this film. It's cheesy. It's nice and short. It's TNA. I think Roger Corman's involved as well, which is always a plus. It couldn't be made it was made today, but I think it was woke. So, and everybody knows my opinions on woke films. So, yeah, fuck the new film. Yeah, we get this. We get, good kills. We get, shower scenes for absolutely no reason at all, which I am all in favor of. And if anyone wants to call me sexist, well, look, I'm all in favor of male shower scenes for the women. I don't mind, just let's have like a slasher movie with like a female slasher murders a bunch of jocks. Shower scenes for the jocks, showing their asses off. I don't mind, just give me my sort of, my early 80s slasher movies with young women showering and showing ass, and nice kills, it's all good. It should be higher, to be fair. I mean, 39, and April Fool's Day at 38. April Fool's Day, I think for April Fool's Day, it's like it's that final reveal is like the killer for a lot of people. It's like, ending on that reveal for a lot of people that kind of kills the whole mood of the film. I do believe that it's like a director's cut where it's is it the director's cut where it's not all just an April Fool, or there's more to it. I've never seen that version, but yeah, certainly the original version, which is the cinematic release, it does rub people up the wrong way with the way it played out because people are invested and then the rug gets pulled from under them. But like I say, I can't really argue with 38, but I don't know what's coming down the line. So, but I personally, I would have had Slumber Party Massacre ahead of this. 37, Halloween 2. Okay, now we've got problems. Okay, so Halloween 2. Now, it's not for everyone. I know some people have got issues with Halloween 2. I know some people say there's not enough Laurie. It's too much just Laurie in a hospital bed. But in terms of like Michael's great in it, good supporting characters, likable supporting characters. You get a couple of you get your douchebag, you get your sort of your sexy nurse, and okay, it plays up to all the tropes. But this was the early 80s. But it does offer a genuinely creepy environment. The hospital is obviously, it is a typical hospital in the early 80s. It's deserted, which doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it's a busy, busy hospital. There's no staff, but it does give off like those creep factor. Michael is just is like maybe to some people don't like Michael in this as much as the original because he is very much like he's almost like machine like in the way he moves. But I mean, the mask is on point. I mean, I actually do like Michael in this movie. I think Nick Castle is the better Michael, but there's something about Michael in this movie. It's just almost like the way he moved, the speed, the way he's so slow and methodical. It's almost like more terrifying. Obviously, they up the kills. We do get like which is unusual for a Halloween movie. We do get some sort of like finale. We do get some sort of like closure. It's insinuated at the end that Michael does die. He's blown to pieces. But obviously, the way things played out, that wasn't the case. But at least they're not scared to kill him off at this point. But number 37, that's for me. This should be definitely top 15 for me. Makes me slightly concerned for where they're going to put Halloween 1. 36, Urban Legend. I do love Urban Legend. Obviously, this was, give me a college slashers is probably along with camp slashers is like my favorite setting for a slasher movie. One issue with this movie, which I think, is the big problem is this woman here, or this like 5 foot, 100-pound girl, Rebecca Gayheart is her name. Spoiler alert, she's the killer. How is she killing anyone, realistically? I mean, come on. If I sneezed, she'd fall over. She's tiny. But I'm prepared to overlook that. The opening 5 minutes with Brad Dourif as well in the gas station is just like it's up there with the Scream intro. It's just iconic. The rest of the movie doesn't quite live up to that opening 5-10 minutes, but it's still a damn solid slasher movie. And it's 90s as hell, man. It is late 90s as hell. You can pinpoint almost to the year that this came out just with just look at the original DVD cover. I mean, my God, everybody's staring directly at the camera. But I've got Robert Englund as well in this movie. It's just, The nostalgia for this movie is just off the chart for me, and this is like top 15 easy. Number 35, we've got Torso, which I've never seen, and it's on my list to watch. And I just, for some reason, I've never got round to watching it. Um, I was meant to watch it just after watching the Argento Animals trilogy, and for some reason, I just never got round to watching it. So yeah, no opinion on this, I'm afraid, but I'm sure Lorne will be pleasantly surprised that this is even in the list. Number 34, a movie I fucking adore, is The Final Girls. Comedy horror, makes fun of the whole all the slasher tropes, the slasher genre. It should have been a bigger hit. I would have loved to have seen the sequel they teased at the end of the film with I think they were going to call it Cruel Summer. Just everything about this film, it's just the cheesy sort of Jason ripoff, likable cast. Oh my god, just great sound, amazing soundtrack. Just love this film. Number 33, we have got Child's Play. Oh my god, Child's Play is 33. What the hell, man? So that completely rules out anything other than Child's Play 2 for this list. We might not even get Child's Play 2. That's a surprise. I'm not the biggest Child's Play fan. I mean, I do like the first two movies. I like season 1 of Chucky. Season 2 is just fucking dog shit, man. They just completely lost the plot over that one. 3, I'm not a fan. Bride is okay. I've not seen anything after Bride. I just completely checked out on the franchise. I've heard the horror stories about Seed of Chucky. No thanks. This is a surprise. I am really surprised this is so low. But yeah, I mean, it'd be curious. Child's Play 2 then, maybe not in this list, which I would be disappointed if that didn't make the list. Okay, Friday the 13th, we got our first entrance. So we got Friday the 13th part 2 at number 32. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get Friday the 13th part 1. I think that's pretty much a given. Just with the way these lists play out, they like to acknowledge the original movie and franchise, even if it's not maybe the popular opinion. Because for most people, I think most people would put Friday the 13th part 1 further down the list of what they like. I think a lot. Would it be fair to say that more people like 2 than 1? I don't know. I know more people like 4 and like 6 than like 1, but part 2, it's a curious one. I think a lot of people are kind of like 4 then 6, 6 then 4, then maybe they go 2, but sometimes they go 1, sometimes they go 3. That seems to be like the general consensus. But number 32, yeah, I mean, I love Friday the 13th part 2. I mean, Terry, Jesus, all-time hottest woman in any slasher film ever, in my opinion. Just the guy who got his name always escapes. The guy who just goes to the bar and gets drunk and doesn't go back to the camp and survives the whole thing. It was just funny to me. He's just like, no, man, that guy just, oh my god. I hope he realised how lucky he was. Yeah, one of the best final girls, really, in any Friday movie, in Amy Steele. And Jason, creepy Jason as well. You've got Jason who moves like a human, normal size Jason. He looks like he's probably about like 5'11", and he creeps around like a normal guy. It's from part 3 that he sort of gained that more robotic sort of Terminator style way and bigger. This is a much more relatable Jason. Somebody who looks like you could realistically overpower. Whereas by part 3, he just looks like a machine, even though he's still human, Jason. But yeah, that's interesting. Part 2 at number 32. I'm not sure about that. Number 31, we've got The House on Serenity Row. At number 31, that's surprising. I thought that would be lower. I don't remember a lot about this film. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I don't remember particularly enjoying it. But again, it's been a good 20 years since I saw this film, so I can't honestly really give a honest opinion because it's I just remember I didn't enjoy it that much. So that's all I can really say. 31 seems high for me, but okay, so let's before we get to number 30, let's go back in the chat. Okay. So if this list counts Maniac, it's a different weight class than the other film so far. We've got Cliff in the chat. What's up, Cliff? The slash that deserves to be mentioned most is the guy who circumcised Milton Berle. Okay, so Cliff's there with a comment that makes no sense to me. Caroline is still beautiful. And she must be like in her 70s now. Lorne says, if Maniac is a slasher, then so is Night of the Hunter. And then we have a serious problem. Well, because Night of the Hunter is not going to be in this list. You know that, Lorne. There's no way that's going to be in the list. Why is there a picture of Pfizer? Why you another like a name I do not know? Cliff's throwing out names I don't know who these people are. Am I supposed to know who Pfizer Balk is? I don't disagree, but if you're going to throw it in there, no way should it fall below Prom Night and Terror Train. Dan says, I am banning the. Who is Fairuza? Who's Fairuza? Am I missing something? Dan says, are you guys fans of April Fool's Day? Lauren says, I think April Fool's Day is a lot of fun with a great cast. It doesn't really work, and it's as dumb as anything in the era, but it's cool. Dan says, well, now we definitely shouldn't see any other Halloween sequels make the list. Yeah, I mean, well, maybe what about 3 though, Dan? Should we see 3 though? I'd love to see 3 in the list. Oh, she's a real killer. Okay. All this late 90s shit is unlike Jason Voorhees, Rebecca has a real life body count. Okay, so it's a real person. Dan, I love Torso. I definitely, I do need to get onto that. I do. Plenty of sex, plenty of TNA in that movie apparently as well. Yeah, Lorne loves Torso. Yeah, Final Girls. Final Girls is fucking amazing. It just seems to fly under the radar as well. It maybe not amongst the horror community, but in the wider sort of, in general, like what in the wider community, I just don't think people really know that film exists, and that's the sort of film that the average movie fan would totally love as well. You don't need to be a horror fan to like the Final Girls. Yeah, it totally gets me in the feels as well. Especially, oh my god, the final scene with Betty Davis eyes. But that scene is just, and it looks amazing as well. Lord said you wouldn't have Distant Soul, but the original threat. Well, that'll be on this list. That'll definitely be on this list, I think. Mongoloid Jason or Zombie Jason? Oh, Mongoloid Jason, definitely. I like it, but the placement is strange. The most beautiful woman in the world. Are we talking about Terry? Terry in Friday Part 2 is just absolute female perfection. That's just. I mean, you just cannot beat that. I mean, she's the sort of woman I imagine is just, even though she's probably about 60 now, it still looks fucking incredible. She may have had a little bit of work done here and there, but I bet she looks fucking on point still. What's up, Jay? We've got Jay in the chat. If anybody's not subscribed to Jay's channel, go and subscribe to Jay's channel. Jay is just making fucking amazing content. If you like good bad flicks, Jay is kind of like doing something similar. Jay, if you want to play, Jay, just put a link to your latest video, or what's the one, Devil in the Flesh. Put a link to Devil in the Flesh in the chat, or your latest, whatever. Because definitely click on it, don't click on it when you're watching the stream. Obviously, wait or click on it and then come back to my stream. But yeah, definitely, if you're not subscribed to Jay's just doing amazing stuff on his channel. He's so funny, man. So funny. Yeah, if you like Good Bad Flicks and what Good Bad Flicks does, it's similar to that. It's really good. We got Doctor Impossible in the chat. What's up, man? Dorothy Gale with the Wicked Witch, G Marsh, Hugh G Marsh, who's married to John Perry. Like, okay. Yeah, drop your channel. Yeah, anybody's got a channel, drop it in the links. Okay, so let's get to number 30. Okay, so we have got Scream 2022. Really? Fucking, I was, you know what? I almost thought it was going to be 1996 Scream, and I was like, no way. So Scream 2022, which is not like, okay, so I've got issues with this film. I did a live commentary, not a live commentary. I did like a live review last year after the film. Wasn't overly complimentary about it, but you know, after watching Scream 6, this film's gone up in my estimation because I'm a little bit bewildered by the love that Scream 6 is getting. For me, this Scream 6 it's certainly not on par with this film. I think Scream 5 is certainly a more polished, more enjoyable film, better kills. You know, there's nothing in Scream. People said this was a more brutal Scream 6. There's nothing in Scream 6 that is more brutal than the kill in Scream 5. The guy who takes the shower. Don't ask me to remember his name. The guy who takes the shower and then he comes out and then Ghostface puts the blade through his neck. There's nothing as brutal as that kill in Scream 6. And Scream 6 is nowhere near as brutal as Scream 4, in my opinion. I thought Scream 4 was the most brutal film of the lot. Scream 6, this is just going to be me ranting about Scream 6 now. Scream 6, yeah, for me was just a massive, massive disappointment. I don't understand the love that this film's been getting. To me, it's bizarre. New York, without really being New York. Okay, people say it's filmed. I know it was filmed in Montreal. I know because I mean, I didn't know that. I think Dan mentioned that on Discord. I didn't know that, but the fact that Jason Takes Manhattan still feels more like a New York movie, even though they only filmed one scene in New York. Everything else building up to it just feels more like New York. The intro, this was just a generic, like people have said, it was just a generic big city. Didn't feel like New York whatsoever. Scared to. This is just me ranting about Scream 6. Scared to kill off any characters of any significance. You know, shirtless hot guy, whatever his fucking name was, survives for some reason, even though this is meant to be following Scream 2. Scream 2, Neve's boyfriend is killed off in the final scene. We've got the core 4 now, who are like, they very clumsily shoehorned the core 4 in now as like the new legacy characters. It was done really, really clumsily. It's clear what they're trying to go for with this now. They're trying to say, these are your new legacy characters. Yeah. Okay. So we've got the core 4 now who go into Scream 7 who can't be killed off, along with Courtney Cox, who can't be killed off because she survived this film. Neve Campbell will probably come back. She can't be killed off. So we're going to end up with a Scream 7 movie with 6 characters who can't be killed. Well, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Anyway, to cut a long story short, Scream 5 is better than Scream 6. On to the next film. Trigger warning for Lorne. Friday the 13th is number 29. Oh my God. I thought this would be top 10. We're talking about slasher movies. We're talking about movies that. Oh shit! I've just seen it. What's at number 28 as well? And I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's a good movie, but number head of Friday the 13th. So basically, a film which I think kickstarted the whole slasher boom of the 80s rather than Halloween. Friday the 13th. Halloween influenced Friday the 13th, but I still think Friday the 13th influenced more actual slasher movies in the early 80s because when this dropped, it all went crazy. Whereas 79 was a pretty quiet year for slasher movies after Halloween came out in 78. But yeah, Friday the 13th, I don't need to say any more about this film. You all know what it is. You all have your thoughts about it. Just let me know. Going forward as well, please. Oh, by the way, leave a like, guys. If you're not, click the like button because my videos I always forget to say click the like button, and so it seems to make a difference in views. But going forward, if you're watching this in the future, leave a comment about what your thoughts are on the list. Friday the 13th, 29. Really? I'm struggling with that one. That's a bizarre decision. And so it's been even more bizarre when number 28 is Alone in the Dark with Donald Pleasance. Now I don't get this is a good I like this film, but is this film, this is the top 50 slasher movies of all time, and this is ahead of Halloween 2 and Friday the 13th Part 1. Wow. I will say as well, guys, JT from JT's Horror Discussions, who's obviously a regular on this channel, he is interviewing Jack Shoulder this week on his channel live. So yeah, he's pulled off a big coup there because, obviously Jack Shoulder's done some pretty important movies over the years, and so yeah, JT is interviewing Jack Shoulder this week. I'm not sure what day and what time, but if you subscribe to JT, then it's there, he's scheduled the stream, but definitely want to check out. But yeah, number 28 for Alone in the Dark. That's a random one. I did not see that coming. Oh my god, oh, no! The Prowler. The Prowler's fucking dog shit. It's not dog shit. It's just a bit boring. It's got some good kills, but it's slow, and most of the movie just seems to revolve around the female co-lead following the male lead around for half the film. It's just I just think it's a bit boring. I know that's a lot of people love this film. Obviously, Tom Savini is does the the effects, and he's on point as usual. But man, this film, I don't think it's that good. Controversial, I know, but sorry, it's not for me. 26, we've got New Nightmare. I didn't see that one coming. I totally forgot about this film, to be fair. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to be in the list. Obviously, it's a precursor to Scream. A lot of the stuff that Wes Craven put into Scream, he sort of laid the groundwork with this film, with very much a meta aspect of it. This is a sort of movie that is gained appreciation, I think, over time. I think it wasn't. It was ahead of its time, really. Without New Nightmare, we might not have got Scream, but this film probably would have been appreciated more in a post-Scream world, if that makes sense. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an important film, and I think definitely a film that is definitely over time people are going to really appreciate more and more. Number 25, we got X. I mean, this is I don't really want to talk about X too much because it's such a new film. It's only 12 months old. I don't really think I can really place it in any sort of position now because I think you need to give films a time to sort of marinate. Is that the right word? In your mind, and how you feel about them over a few years. And with it being 12 months old, I don't really think I can say, well, I think this film is better than this or worse than that. I think 10 years from now, I can give a more honest opinion. But I certainly like X. I certainly think X is better than Pearl. And I know a lot of people disagree with that statements, but I do think X is a more enjoyable film than Pearl. Is it better film? I don't know. But I mean, in terms of what I enjoy, I like X more. Number 24, we've got Candyman. Never the biggest fan of Candyman. I understand. I can totally see why it's in this list. Obviously, it's quite an important movie. It's very different to your typical slasher movie. It's like an urban slasher set in the projects of Chicago, but it's just something that never really clicked with me. The early 90s was kind of a bit of a grim time for horror. So I don't know if this film, if it had dropped another era, it may not have stood out as much. But I think coming out in 92, there was just such little for people to, grasp onto. Maybe that's one of the reasons it kind of like was elevated to where it was. But um, yeah, I mean, Bernard Rose, who apparently directed Paper House. I think Lorne said Paper House is a better movie than this by far. Not a slasher film, but a great, great horror movie. Well, psychological. It's hard to pigeonhole Paper House, but if you've not seen Paper House, fucking watch Paper House, man. It is so good. 23, A Bay of Blood, aka Twitter to Death Nev. Not a fan of this movie. I know it's the inspiration for Friday the 13th. I know it's one of the original slasher movies, a lot of people say. I don't like this film. I'm just going to say it. I came into this film like late. I watched this film about 4 years ago. So yeah, I'd heard about this film for a long time, and maybe I needed to watch this film as a kid, or maybe someone in the late teens. But it just wasn't for me. I'm sorry. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the setting. It kind of felt, I don't know. I mean, people were talking about the Friday the 13th set with the lake. It just felt a bit grimy and a bit, I don't know. Look, I'm sorry. It just wasn't for me. Yeah. That's not to say I don't like Italian horror. I love the Animal trilogy. Everything Argento done in the early 70s, I love. This, though, no, wasn't for me. 22, Sleepaway Camp. It's okay. I mean, I think this maybe places so highly because of like the controversial ending. Obviously, with Angela being, not Angela, basically. I don't know if this would feature so highly if it wasn't for that ending. I actually like 2 better. Because I watched 2 as a kid, like probably about like 13. Because I think 2 dropped in like 88. I think I was like 13 years old and about 89. I think me and a couple of friends, we rented it out at a friend's house when we were, like on a Saturday night or a Friday night on a sleepover. And we didn't know anything about the first film. And it was called Nightmare Vacation in the UK. So we saw Nightmare Vacation 2 on the VHS cover in the local video store. And it's got like Angela with like the Freddy Krueger glove and like a Jason mask. And we were like, "Oh my god, is Freddy Krueger and Jason in this?" And I think word had gone round school, because this is before the internet. Word had gone round the school that like Freddy Krueger and Jason were in this horror movie, this new slasher movie. So we were just like, "Yeah, let's rent that movie out." So we rented it out, and it was just like we enjoyed it. I mean, my god, plenty of TNA in that movie. So that we were like just sat there around a friend's house with watching it with me, 2 brothers, and their mum was watching it with us, which was a bit awkward because like there's obviously quite a bit of TNA, so we're all just sat there like watching the movie with like cushions placed over our groins to try as you can understand, as being 13-year-olds full of hormones. But I'm basically, yeah, I'm going off topic, but Sleepaway Camp 2 for me is a more enjoyable film. I like Sleepaway Camp 1, but I do think this is placed highly more based on the whole, the whole ending. Number 21, you're next. Oh, Lorne will be happy because I think Lorne's. Oh no, Lorne, you're a fan of Hide and Seek, is it? Is that what's the one with Samara Weaving from a few years ago? Is it Hide and Seek? It's very similar to this film, I think. Anyway, Your Next, great movie. Adam Wingard on fire here. Love this film. Love female. See, this is a female lead who's just like a badass, but it doesn't feel like it's been preached to you. It doesn't feel like it's been rammed down your throat. She just is a badass character. Great kills, great look for the antagonists as well. You know, with the animal masks. Yeah, I mean, the early 2010s was just great period for some like great horror. Between 2010 and 2014, 2015, we just got some really good movies. So I've got no problem with Your Next being 21. Let's go back into the comment section. Let's just make sure I'm. Sorry, I seem to have. Okay, so comments. Let's go back. Yeah, so there's the link for Jay's channel. Definitely check it out. And yeah, Region 3 is coming back, guys. So yeah. So is it a new channel completely, or is it linked to the old channel? Do I need to subscribe again? One says, fuck this list, Scream 22. List is now pointless. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Everybody sub to Jay. It's really, it's just fun. Yeah, Jay did a video about what's that like softcore movie from the 80s? 11 Days, 11 Nights. If anybody's a fan, if anybody remembers 11 Days, 11 Nights, which I remember distinctly from the video store when I was a kid, because it had I felt like a naked guy on the front with like a half naked woman. And we were like, that movie looks like, is that meant to be like 9.5 weeks? Because it had like numbers in the title and it looked a bit raunchy. And I never saw, I always remember that VHS cover in the video store. Never saw the film. I then got onto Jay's channel and he's doing a video on it. And like, fuck me, this film rings a bell. I was like, oh my God, I remember this film from when I was a kid. But yeah. So yeah. Jay, subscribe to Jay. Scream better than me. This is stupid. Well, I did put a disclaimer out at the beginning that this was definitely yeah, there's a Lawn channel. Although everyone in the chat is probably already subscribed to Lawn anyway. If you're a podcast and listen to any of us, please let us know. I like to sub to everyone. I love Alone in the Dark, but is it better than Friday the 13th Part 1 though? This list feels like generated by AI. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Pearl has a killer look, but the film has a lot of killer scenes. Yeah, it's not a favourite of mine. Yeah, New Nightmare would make my list, and one I tend to enjoy less and less over the years. Oh, Jay, yeah, that's definitely my sort of thing. I'm shocked X is on there. Is that because it's such a new movie though, T? Or do you think it doesn't deserve to be on the list? Or do you not really regard it as a slasher movie? I mean, yeah, Andy says Candyman is perfection. What's up, Chris? Chris in the chat. Lauren says Candyman is not a slasher. Yeah, Candyman is great. The remake, yeah, the remake. I don't mind the remake. To be fair, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it wasn't quite as preachy. I was expecting like Black Christmas 2019 levels of sort of like preachiness, but I never really got that. Bay of Blood is awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just not for me. I agree, Leon. If you count it's out, but again, if you count, how the hell is it not at the top? Bay of Blood is probably my least favorite Barber, but I mean, it's still Barber. You won't get that twist in the remake. Barber never made a bad film. The most underrated TV movie, Shoulder directed. Oh, the directed. Okay. Um, it's a sci-fi movie. Ready or Not is the movie with Samara Weaving. What did I call it? um, oh shit! Fucking, that's a lot of comments. It's good to see. Yeah, Ready or Not. Loved Your Next. Yeah, Your Next is just a great movie. Um, Hidden gets me quite. Yeah, the Hidden's a great movie. Love The Hidden. That's one of my sort of like childhood movies. Hidden 2, not so much. Although I'm not sure if he directed 2 as well. Um, so it's a totally new channel. Okay. So we need to get those subs up then. So anybody who's not, obviously, this is a new channel, so everybody head over and subscribe. So yeah. So obviously everybody who's in the chat, everybody watching down the line, go and subscribe. We'll have to try and get this out across multiple channels. Black Sunday for me, Black Sabbath's another Stone Cold classic. Lots of slashes are better than Friday the 13th Part 1. Ooh, Law won't like you for that, saying that, Chris. Mario Bava's filmography against any iconic hard actor. Okay, so let's get back into it. We're into the top 20 now. So wait till we get to the top 10 and we'll stop and we'll decide, what do you think is going to be in like top 5? 20, Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon. Good movie. Good, solid sort of like take on the slasher genre. Number 20, no, not for me. I do like the movie. Yeah, obviously it's a very, very meta film. Is it almost too meta though for me? I don't know. To the point where it's almost like off-putting a little bit, but certainly enjoyable. Would I put it at number 20 though? No. It's definitely a top 50, but maybe somewhere between 40 and 50 for me. Number 19, we got Friday the 5th. Oh my God, final chapter at number 19. So we've had 2, we've had 1, we've now got 4. So we're gonna get we've got to get 6. We've got to get 6, surely. If we don't get 6, I'm gonna be pissed. Because 4 and 6 are the 2 best Friday films in my opinion. So, and depending on what day of the week it is, this would be number 1 or 6. Not just for best slasher movie of the Fridays, but best slasher movie of the 80s. So yeah, we might get 6, we might not, but I honestly can't imagine us not getting 6. Number 18, Stage Fright. Now, okay, just jumped that. I have not seen Stage Fright. I don't know why. I just never seen Stage Fright. It's always escaped me. And I don't know if it's just like the owl mask that's put me off. I don't know. But I mean, let me know in the chat. Is it overhyped? Is it underrated? Is it overrated? I mean, I don't know. It's like, so yeah, I have no opinion on Stage Fright whatsoever. Number 17, My Bloody Valentine. I thought this would be top 10. I think this should be top 10. I love this film. I think this is more nostalgia again, though, playing a part. This is a film that when I was a kid was just constantly sort of getting rented out of the video store. Just the legend of Harry Warden. I love the town. I love that small town setting to it as well. The creep. I mean, the mask is the look is great. The mines, the setting of the mines is creepy. I mean, there's no escape. It's a confined, claustrophobic atmosphere, and I'm quite claustrophobic. I do suffer from claustrophobia to a point. I'm not like terrible for it, but I don't like enclosed spaces. So the idea of being in an enclosed space like that with a psychopathic killer, tracking you down, yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Yeah, I love this film. Love this film. Yeah, for me, top 10. Number 16, we got Tenebrae. So that's an interesting one. So we might get then Suspiria. If Tenebrae's number 16, would Suspiria be regarded? I mean, this list is all over the place. Would Suspiria be classed as a slasher film? Um, I like Tenebrae more than Inferno. Maybe, maybe not quite as much as Suspiria. In terms of the Argento films I've seen, for me, I like the Animals trilogy and Suspiria more than Inferno. Tenebrae comes somewhere in the middle. But it's nice to see this film so high because it has been a pretty generic list for the most part. But so yeah, I'm just wondering whether we might get another Argento movie in the top 15. Number 15, we've got The Funhouse. Oh my God, I've just jumped ahead there to Nightmare on Elm Street. Spoiler alert. Yeah, Funhouse, that's the movie I was referring to earlier on. I couldn't think of the name. I don't like this film. I think it's badly paced, not particularly well acted. And I know Lorne, I think Lorne probably likes this film, but I will get him back on side by saying that Hellfest is a way better film than this. Way better movie than this. Hellfest is everything this film isn't. And I mean, in a good way. Yeah, I just, everything about this film is just off for me. Just, even the opening scene with like the little brother, like, you know, stalking his sister in the shower, it's just a bit weird. It's like what's going on here? Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, the whole. I mean, he looks quite cool, but no, sorry, not for me. Like I say, if I want to, if I want like a haunted house attraction theme park shit going on, then I'll take Haunt or I'll take Hellfest any day of the week. Number 14, we've got Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. So we haven't had Nightmare on Elm Street 1 or 2 yet. So we'll definitely get 1. 2, possibly. I think we'll get 2. I think we'll definitely get 2. 3, for me, it goes 1, 2, 3 in terms of preference. In fact, I think it actually goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I can't think of many franchises where I actually just like count down in order the favorite movies. It literally is. 1's my favorite, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. God only knows where the remake comes. Probably in between 5 and 6. But yeah, not more to be said. It's Dream Warriors. Everybody knows this movie. It's, for a lot of people, it's their favorite, or it's the second favorite, or it's the third favorite. It always falls in that category along with the first 2 movies. So yeah, I'm just wondering where. I've got a sneaking suspicion that Nightmare on Elm Street is going to be number 1. Actually, no, Psycho will be number 1. I think Nightmare on Elm Street might be number 2. Freddy's Revenge will probably be top 10 though. Number 13, we have got. Oh, so here's Jason. So we've not got a Friday the 13th movie in the top 10. So arguably the most iconic slasher franchise there has no entrance in the top 10 because there's not going to be a Friday the 13th movie after this. I'm glad it's the highest ranking Friday movie along with 4, but it should be top 10. Yeah, like I say, Friday the 13th Part 6. Love this film. I've gushed about this film more often than enough times on this channel, so no need to waste any time. It should be top 10. It's not. So I guarantee number 12 will probably be something that is not even close to this movie in terms of quality. Oh, it's Scream. I love Scream. My bad. So this should be top 10 as well because I love Scream. Most influential horror film of the last 30 years by far. Responsible for like countless movies over the last 25 years. Without Scream, would we have got found footage? Would we have got remakes? Would we have got any of this? Would we have got parody comedy movies like Scary Movie? No. Just the thing that pisses me off about this though is like they play Scream number 12 and they play Scream 5 further down the list. Scream 2 for me is the second best Scream movie after this one. I think Scream 2 is a better movie than 5 and 4 and obviously 3 and 6. So pisses me off that Scream 2 is not in this list unless it's in the top 10, which is not going to be. But yeah, Scream should definitely be top 10. I mean, I hope this is not top 10. It's just beyond me. Going into the top 10, I'm trying to think what's going to be there. It's going to be Psycho, Nightmare on Elm Street, possibly Elm Street Part 2, Halloween, obviously. I'm honestly, we're talking about slasher movies. I'm trying to think what else. Well, are they going to regard Texas Chainsaw Massacre as it is a slasher film, but it is a slasher movie, of course it is. But I mean, there's so many different subgenres and shit. Number 11, Opera. I've not seen Opera. Again, another movie that's kind of escaped me. I am trying to catch up with a lot of the Argento stuff. So they do like Argento on this list. It just makes me wonder whether Suspiria is going to be top 10. So I can't really offer much to Opera, but we'll go into the chat. Claudia Christian is up there if you're talking Beautiful Starlets. The crowdfunding failed for Behind the Mask 2. When did they try that though? I mean, could it work now? Maybe with a little bit more. I mean, crowdfunding's such a big deal now. Maybe if they tried it now. But I haven't said that. It's like we're talking about a movie from 15 years ago. It's probably maybe it's past. It's maybe a little bit too late for that now. Where did Shawnee Vincent never got any other big roles after You're Next? Yeah, I mean, I don't know where she went. I mean, back to Australia, maybe. Slow as hell for Part 4. It is, yeah. I love Stage Fright, but I'm surprised it's that high. I like Stage Fright. They can't be slash with Meatloaf. These lists are always pretty dumb, let's be honest, usually. Oh, we've got What's Up, Swaggy? Got Swaggy in the chat. Stage Fright is pretty good. My Bloody Valentine is fine, but I've never really connected with it the way so many others clearly do. You're just wrong, Lorne. You just need to connect like we do. The problem is with you, not with us. Do you like the remake, Lorne? Do you like the remake, Lorne? Love Tenebrae. The My Bloody Valentine remake is better for me. Controversial from Anthony. I haven't said that though. A lot of people do love the remake. It's not like the remake is a good movie. It's not like we're talking like The Fog, which was just atrocious in every way. The remake is actually pretty damn good. I do, Dan. I think it's much more fun. It feels like 5 very different horror fans took turns on this list. Yeah, it's like people in the chat. Like we just came together with a list, and just these random things just got through together. Toffee will be 1992 and but what about don't forget Psycho, Chris, because I think Psycho is going to be number 1. Because surely Psycho is going to be regarded as a slasher movie, right? Yeah, Hellfest. Sure, Hellfest is better than the Funhouse, but I still love Hober's sleazy carnival vibe. The Funhouse holds with me. Quite a few slashers do not. I bet the Japanese horror film Yellow Fangs isn't in there. Probably not. I would say Dr. Impossible. Dream Warriors deserves higher, in my opinion. We won't get Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Insular horror fans have more perspectives on these franchises. The mainstream do not like 2. I'd like to do a list that excludes franchises. Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the top 10. 6 above 4, lol. Something about Friday the 13th there. Oh, what's up, Darren? What's up, man? We got hey guys, Law. When you come back to YouTube, miss your videos. Mark Patton just played the villain in the movie called Swallowed. I didn't enjoy, but fans might want to give it a go. Patton tries his best to channel David Hess. Scream should have been top 10 at least. Yeah, absolutely. Lorna's still going strong. Very shortly. Oh, Hellraiser. We haven't seen a Hellraiser movie yet. Hellraiser franchise kind of falls in line with the order of how good the movies are, excluding the remake. Yeah, so Hellraiser, I totally forgot about Hellraiser. So Hellraiser 1, surely that's going to feature in the top 10. Oh, good. Okay, so let's get into the top 10. So what we expecting? We're going to see Psycho, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's 5 movies. What will the other 5 be? We have got Alice, Sweet Alice. Well, that came out of left field. Like the film, did not expect it to be top 10. I think there's quite a few people in the chat who were not expecting this to feature this highly. One of the things I do remember about this movie is that big, fat, dirty paedophile in the movie. He's just like the most disgusting people I've ever seen in a horror film. Oh my god, just vile human being. He's probably a nice guy, I'm sure he was, but in that movie, oh my god, just disgusting. Yeah, this I was not expecting this. I mean, I like Alice v Alice. I've only seen it like twice, and the last time was I've seen it recently, and then the last time before that was probably about like 2000. It's grimy as hell. It's got that real nasty. It just you feel like you need a. It's not like a movie like Maniac or anything, but it's just got that grimy sort of nasty feel to it, like where you feel that you need, especially with that big pedo guy in it. You know, you feel like you need to have a shower when he's been in the scene. But number 10, not expecting that. Number 9, we got. Oh my god, The Burning is number 10. Burning is top 10. I did not see this coming at all. So The Burning is better than any Friday movie. The majority of the Halloween movies, and pretty much all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which I agree with, by the way. Number 9 for The Burning, man. That is a shock. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Look, I love The Burning. Don't get me wrong. I love The Burning. I think it's one of the greatest slasher movies of all time. But I don't think it's better than Friday 4 and Friday 6. And is it better than Halloween 2? Maybe. I don't know. But my God, that is a surprise. Number 9 for The Burning. So, yeah, this list continues to surprise. Number 8, Blood and... Okay. So this is going to gain a lot more legitimacy now. Blood and Black Lace. Great movie. I only saw this film last year. Getting introduced to Barber. This is a fantastic fucking movie. Thoroughly deserves to be top 10. This list has suddenly gained a lot more kudos with some people, I think. Yeah, number 8 for Blood and Black Lace. Wow, I didn't see that coming at all. Number 7. Deep. Oh, it just keeps on coming, doesn't it? Deep Red, number 7. So this list's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. No, from the ridiculous to sublime. Yeah, and as a lot of people know, Sean's in the chat. If Sean catches up on this, I've not seen Deep Red. Still, I know, my bad. I still haven't seen Deep Red. I apologize. I don't know why I haven't seen Deep Red. I do need to see it. But yeah, I know a lot of people have got a lot of love for this film. And a lot of people probably have been a little bit surprised by this list has suddenly developed. Yeah, number 7, Deep Red. Argento has got a lot of love on this list. But yeah, like I don't know, it was Dan, whoever said this feels like a list picked by like 5 different people, and then they've just thrown them all together. That definitely feels like this. Um, you definitely got an Argento fan in there who's just picking all Argento movies. But Bird with the Crystal Plumage, where's that? Really? Come on. Okay, so we've got 6 movies left. Wait till we get to number 6 and I'll go back into the chat. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh my god, I've just jumped forward. Dickhead. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre number 6. I thought this might be number 2 or 3. It's a Chainsaw Massacre, obviously. In terms of like just pure, unadulterated horror, you know, you can't really top this. That 70s aesthetic, that sort of sweaty, hot feel that the movies X and the Chainsaw Massacre remake can't quite replicate. Where being set in like New Zealand, was it, and Romania or whatever they were filmed, or Bulgaria. Yeah, that original Chainsaw Massacre film from the 70s, it's got something that those other movies don't have. As much as I love some of the later Chainsaw Massacre movies, this film is, if any movie, it's difficult to like replicate in terms of like a feel. This is it, because you can't really recreate the look of this film. It's just of its time. As I say, and one of the glorious things about the film is a lot of it is sort of like suggested and not shown, but you still feel like you've gone through an experience when you watch it, which is the achievement from Toby Hooper. You know, you come out of the film thinking you've seen more than what you have. But number 6, yeah, Chainsaw Massacre. I thought that might be slightly higher, but so let's go back into the chat, and we'll just, before we go to the top 5, let's just see what people think is going to be top 5. So yeah, maybe we might not get Hellraiser in this list. I'm thinking now. I mean, it's what they just define as slasher, though. You know, it may not be technically be a slasher, but does it really matter with a list like this? People are, yeah, The Burning, yeah, it's Hellraiser as a slasher though. It's what they regard as a slasher, I suppose. Hang on a minute, is that James Stamp? That sounds familiar. Yeah, a lot of people saying that Hellraiser isn't a slasher, so don't expect to see it. This list is conflating giallos with slashers. It is just pandering. Pan Code Chung did a nice slasher called Dreamhouse. That barely gets flipping mentioned these days. Maybe read an alternative slash top 10. I'll try and find one. But I need to see some of these more obscure alternative like foreign movies to have any sort of input if I do a list like that. Black Christmas got to be top 5. You know, I totally forgot about Black Christmas, Darren. Totally forgot about that film. Because I suppose when I think to me, I always think of Christmas films separately from just your typical slasher movies. Even though you got like Silent Night, Deadly Night, obviously, which is just like a Christmas movie. But yeah, Black Christmas. I don't know if Black Christmas is in this list. Oh my god, Dream Home is amazing. Asian slashers always get overlooked. Yeah, Halloween or Psycho one. I think it's be Psycho. To be fair, I can't see anything topping Psycho. 6-year-old's tail bread. I love Dreamhouse. The 10 minutes list the last 10 minutes are unbelievable. Okay, so let's jump into the last 5 movies. So we've got Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Psycho, maybe Black Christmas, and if they decided to slash a movie, maybe Hellraiser. So number 5, we've got Peeping Tom, Michael Powell. Arguably, it's not the original slasher. I know the slasher movies dating back to the 30s, apparently. I'm sure Lorne will fill us in, because I'm sure Lorne's mentioned a few films from the 30s or even the 20s, which be considered slashers. I know a lot of people regard this as, now I'm not entirely sure the timeline. This and Psycho are both 1960. A lot of people say that this came out before Psycho, but what movie was getting made first? Was Psycho in the pipeline before this, and this just happened to be released first? So I wouldn't say that this or Psycho are the original slasher films, but what I would say is, of these two movies, what came first? And I don't mean in terms of like release date. I mean, what was getting made first? You know. So this being made before Psycho, or vice versa? What? But People saw definitely a groundbreaking movie. It basically ended the career of Michael Powell, the director. He basically just was ostracized from movies after this. But yeah, Peeping Tom number 5. Number 4, we have got Psycho is number 4. That is a surprise. I thought this would be number 1. I'm glad to say it's not number 1, because I just feel sometimes they go with the safe option, the oldest movie and the most influential movie. Obviously, it's Psycho. Everybody knows Psycho. So I won't spend too long on this. But so we've got 3 movies left. We've got, this makes me think that Black Christmas is not even in this list, which is just ridiculous. So we've got Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. I'm trying to think of a third movie if it's not Black Christmas. Anybody got any ideas in the chat? Anybody want to make a suggestion for the third film? Because if it's not Black Christmas, which I just don't think it's going to be Black Christmas. It could be, but is it going to be something just totally out of left field? I think we can safely assume Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween are in the top 3. Ben says, I was about to say Peep and Tom. 1930's Bela Lugosi vehicle, Night of Terror, is the OG slasher. Okay, so let's just jump into the top 3. I think Nightmare on Elm Street is going to be number 3 somehow. Number 3 is, I hope it's Black Christmas is in the top 3, though. I really do. It is. Black Christmas is number 3. Yes. If this list, it's got its issues, but it's got some plus points. If this had failed to make the top 50, that would have been a major, major fault of the races of this list. But Black Christmas, yeah, thoroughly deserved top 10. Number 3, I wouldn't have put it that high, maybe. I don't know, maybe. It's hard to say. I suppose it depends on how I'm feeling. If it was Christmas time, top 3. Middle of summer, top 10. I think that's a fair way of putting it. It's got to be a certain, it's got to be cold, and it's got to be, miserable weather, which is pretty much 8 months of the year in the UK anyway. So I can pretty much put this on any time. But yeah, fully deserved. Which obviously leaves Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. It better not be Nightmare on Elm Street number 1. Not a chance in hell is that movie better than Halloween. But this list has surprised me so far. So is it going to surprise me one last time? Number 2 is It's a Nightmare on Elm Street. So there is some justice in the world. This does not deserve to be number 2, by the way. Well, not in my opinion. I wouldn't place this in the top 10. But it is Nightmare on Elm Street. It's an iconic film. It's an iconic killer. Wes Craven, at the high, probably at the peak of his career. Johnny Depp, obviously, making this film debut. Everything just falls into place with this film, I suppose. But yeah, not for me. I can still appreciate the movie for what it is, but it's not something I return to. So no Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, which for the 50 movies, I'm surprised. I thought that would have made the top 50. So obviously, number 1, imagine this wasn't Halloween. It's Halloween, obviously. But put into context, this website's top 100 horror movies of all time, this only came 37. So they placed 36 movies ahead of this masterpiece. What can you say? Obviously, I'm not going to talk anymore about this movie. The greatest slasher film of all time, in my opinion. one of the greatest 10 movies of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, adore this film. It's the perfect movie, perfect horror movie, perfect slasher movie, perfect killer, perfect cast. Everything about this film is absolutely on point. It's just perfection. I can never be beaten, in my opinion. But yeah, there we go. That was the top 50 slasher movies of all time, according to Paste Magazine. Always controversial, these lists. Nobody's ever going to be, in 100% agreement, obviously. But that's half of the fun, Opinions are like arseholes, Everybody's got one and they all stink. If you guys want a sure thing, check out Dream Home from 2010. I'll make a note of that. Add it to my watch list. My watch list is like about 200 films, though. That's the only problem. Dream Home. Okay, that is added. I'll try and get around to that at some point. Dr. Impossible says, some people shit and piss themselves when you say alternative horror slasher films. Run for hills and jump off a cliff. I'm sticking with Voorhees and the strange bloke called Shatner. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's the thing. People, the best thing to do, you've got to open. Up until a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I was pretty close-minded when it came to horror films. I liked what I liked, and I did watch. I watched all the American stuff. I always tried to catch up on, but when it came to some of the European stuff, and anything with subtitles, I was kind of a bit I briefly got into the Asian horror movies of the 2000s, and a lot of the action stuff like Old Boy and whatnot. But when it came to horror in general, I certainly was more close-minded. When I just stuck to it was American or it was Australian or or British. If it was spoke with an English language, then I was on board. But then getting into the Italian stuff more recently over recent years is really it's just hits differently. It's just nice to see something from a different time era as well. Going back to the 60s and 70s as well. Just nice because you're never quite sure where the film's going to go because it's not playing off modern tropes, so it takes you by surprise with some of the directions they go in, which is just nice after spending the last 40 years just watching same old. But yeah, so definitely, once I've I still need to exhaust Italian horror. There's so much Italian stuff I need to check out. Obviously, would like to get into some of the Indian stuff going down the line, obviously, but it's kind of difficult to sort of it's more difficult to sort of know where to even begin with the Indian horror. Laura, I think you should probably do a video about Indian horror in general. Just maybe as a kind of a sort of introduction to Indian horror, because you mentioned a lot of stuff in various streams, but if you could condense it into one video where with your favorites and what you'd recommend, and also as well a link to maybe IMDb with the correct spelling for these movies, because sometimes words movies get thrown out with names and it's well, how do you spell that? If I don't spell it right, am I even going to find it on the internet? So it's just a suggestion. Okay, top 50 New Zealand rom-coms coming soon. That would be interesting. I can't say that. I can't say I have much input on that one, but yeah, if Wolf Creek was a slasher, see, I would have put Wolf Creek as a slasher movie. Definitely, that should definitely be regarded, I would say, as a slasher movie, and it's definitely a top 50 horror movie for me. A top 50 slasher movie of all time. I mean, I love Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek 2 as well is a decent movie as well. Top 50 Mountain Dew flavors coming soon. Chris, I'm going to launch a top 50 list site. It better be good slasher, better than piss and paste. Okay, so I think we've just rounded things up tonight. Caught up with the chat. Hope you guys enjoy the stream. Leave a like if you haven't already left a like. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Trying to get to 200 subs. So, please like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Yeah, ideally, I said I'd like to hit 300 subs by the end of the year. That's looking like pretty much unlikely at this point, but to hit 200 subs by the end of maybe April would be something to aim for. So yeah, so please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Everybody in the chat tonight, thank you very much. You know who you are. Yeah. And I will leave it at that. I will probably be back either Friday or Sunday with another stream. But until then, thank you.